When a guy has a dream, he has a dream. And even if this one is way out there in the Arctic, to be exact, one Israeli American needs your help in making his dream of becoming the first Israeli dogsledder come true. And we've decided to help by telling you about Erik Claster. The 36-year-old adventurer needs to receive at least 30,000 votes of support so he can join a polar dogsled competition. The number of participants is limited in the race, which covers about 200 miles of frozen wilderness, from Norway to Sweden. Claster is an Israeli Army combat veteran who immigrated to the Jewish state from Kansas City. Today, Erik works in the high-tech industry, but it looks like he's looking for a bit of a career change, and he's joining us on the phone to tell us all about it. Hi, Erik. It's great to have you.
Great to be here.
So first, tell us about this competition.
Sure. This is a competition. It's yearly, sponsored by a company called Fall Raven, an outdoor I guess you could call it expedition equipment company. And they sponsor this, I guess you can call it expedition every year around the polar north of Norway, going into Sweden.
How did you hear about this competition, and how did you become interested in dog sledding? This country isn't exactly the most snowy, per se.
Right. Well, I heard about the competition about a day or so before it opened up, before the voting opened up. So it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I've been a fan and I've used the equipment of Fall Raven for years and never knew they had this. So apparently they've had it for almost 15 years. So just discovered it, and I figured, you know what? I think this is something that Israel needs to needs to do.
Absolutely. So why do you want to represent Israel in this sport? It's, like I said, it's not exactly a sport that has much to do with the terrain here in the Holy Land.
Sure. Well, that's part of the reason why. I mean, I think that there's no monopoly on what it means to be a Zionist and what it means to show the Zionist spirit to the world. I think that we get a lot of PR, even positive PR, but it becomes really repetitive. It's the same old stuff over and over again. This is something completely outlandish, completely different, seemingly improbable. And I think that's also kind of what Israel's about. Israel's about making the improbable probable. So I figured it's the perfect setup for us to be on this global stage.
So what kind of impact do you think your participation in this competition would have on Israel in the long run?
Well, it's interesting because there's 13 delegates from different countries all over the world, and then there's the 14th category, which is like the other countries. So major countries like the U.S. and even Sweden, Germany, Canada, they have their own country category, so they're only competing within their own. We, Israel, are in the other category, so we're competing with the other 150, 180 countries of the world. So just getting to the actual expedition in and of itself is a huge statement about people in Israel and their desire to really put us on that stage and be there with all those other 14 countries. It's not a lot. So that in and of itself says a lot. And I think also people here in Israel, again, I think that people need to understand that whatever they're good at, whatever they want to do, no matter how improbable or impractical it might be, if they want to represent Israel, then they should do it.
Now, like I said, it's not necessarily easy to train for this sport here in Israel. How do you plan on doing that? And do you have any experience, dog sledding in the past?
No, I mean, I have a lot of outdoor cold weather experience. I grew up in America where there was a lot of that. So I have that experience. But in terms of the physical training, I train, on a regular basis that we've kind of changed it up a little bit in anticipation of this. So, mainly a lot of resistance training, a lot of strength training, in kind of non-traditional exercises, but also trying to do a bit of cold weather training. Kind of some very odd types of items like jumping into freezing cold water and trying to understand how the body reacts to extreme cold and just to do regular activities, and how your brain reacts, because your brain and your body, they act completely different in these types of extreme 20, 30 below zero temperatures.
All right. Well, what do you think the likelihood is that you're actually going to make it into this competition?
Well, it's interesting. We have kind of two ways to make it in. The one way is to win out our category for votes, which we're a bit behind, but we've got a good push here towards the end. The voting ends tomorrow to be the first in our category. Aside from that, they choose an additional candidate within each category that has nothing to do with their vote collection, has just to do with their, I guess, analysis of thinking who would be great to have on this trip. So that's also kind of, we've got that going for us, because obviously having Israel in this competition is a bit of an exotic choice. So we're hoping that they're going to look at us and try, if we don't win out in votes, then maybe that they'll look at us in that light as well, and we'll have a chance potentially as well. So.
Absolutely. Well, all right, guys, this great Israeli outdoorsman is already referring to himself as Arctic Erik. So if you'd like to help him on this incredible journey, you can cast your vote online and try to hurry. The deadline to vote ends tomorrow. If he gets in, we'll be sure to let you know how he does. Thanks for joining us, Erik.
My pleasure. Thank you.